Okay, so the next assignment you've got for me is to do your plan. Okay, so it's your research plan. You'll find it in MEST 4, Task 1, and it's in Assignment 9. So it's research for the essay and plan. Now your plan needs to be in detail. I've already got some of these in from other people who I've looked at, whose work I've looked at, and I've gone through and I've basically said if it's a decent grade or not. So the ones that aren't marked I will go through in the next couple of days. The plan's pretty straightforward. If you click on the task, you're going to hand this in on the 18th of October. Okay, so this is due on the 18th. To do it, you need to add further information into your research log, and you need to look at either a mind map or fill out the plan template. It's probably easier to fill out the plan template if that was me, if I was doing this. But what I want to do first of all is I'm just going to go through this essay planning presentation with you, so you've got a good idea of what you actually have to do. You've got to plan your essay, okay, obviously. What we're going to do is over the next 4 weeks, our double periods, we're going to spend in the library, okay, in Kingston. So all the doubles from now on, we will go to Kingston Uni Library.
Will you be at the library, or do we have to just go to it?
I'll be there, yeah?
We're allowed to go there any time.
You can go there anytime you want, yeah. So I'll be there as well. You have to go to the library, okay, in your doubles. We'll do a little bit on media theory at the beginning of each double.
Is it the only double we have with you?
Yeah.
Can we just go straight there in the morning?
Yeah. You can go there straight in the morning. So I'm going to send an email to your tutors later on today, and I'm going to say to them, you know, that on this period you'll be at the library. Okay. It is important that you go and you do turn up. You've only got 4 weeks, but you can go to the library whenever you want if you are interested in doing that. You should be. I would be going in all my frees if that was me, just because it's easier to work there than it is to work here. So what you need to do is as follows for this plan. Before you can fill out the plan, you've got to identify what your sub-questions are within your question. So if my question was, has 7/7 has caused a moral panic towards the Muslim religion, some of the sub-questions that I would want to answer would be, what was the 7/7 bombing? What's the moral panic? How was it recorded in the press or the media? Etc. etc. And I would want to, and the reason for having sub-questions is so that I can target my research into these questions. Yeah? So I'm keeping everything focused. Does that make sense so far? Okay. You probably need between 5 and 8 sub-questions. Okay, for your essay. And it needs to be the ones which are relevant to your essay. So what was the 7/7 bombing is quite relevant, okay, but I wouldn't write much on that. I would write maybe 3 or 4 lines or something like that. But then there'll be some sub-questions which you answer, which you'll write a lot more. So what is a moral panic? Well, I need to talk about all the stages of a moral panic to start with. So that would be quite a big point. Does that make sense? So these aren't all the same. The next thing you need to do, okay, is you need to look at the research that you've done, and you need to make links between your research. So by this point, everyone's done these research logs, correct? Yeah? So you've done these research logs, and what you need to do now is look through your research log and go, I've got my sub-questions. Where does my research fit into the sub-questions? And if I were you, I would start to mark this on your research notes in a different colour. And I'd put in my margin, okay, for example, this bit, moral panic, or audience, or institutions, or whatever the point is that you're trying to get across. And I'd do this. Do you want to know why I do this? Because what I do is when I start to write my essay, I'd put my sub-question, and I'd look through all my notes, and I'd pull all the notes together for that sub-question, and then I'd tie it up and make it flow, and then I'd answer the sub-questions in that way. If that was me, if I was writing this essay. Yeah, so all your information's pulled together. When you think you've got enough information for that part of the sub-question, for that part of your essay, then why don't you just write that section? You don't have to write your section in your essays in a linear order from introduction to conclusion. If you think you've got a good paragraph here on, say, how your question links into media audiences or whatever your question is, then just write that bit and get it done, because then you can start to pull it together in your final essay. Okay, so your plan should include the following, okay? A clear indication of the areas which you'll be covering. So what is it that you're actually doing in your essay? It should easily show me how your argument is going to unfold. So from your plan, I should be able to see what your conclusion is and what your main points are. In there, you're going to show me the points you're going to be making. So a single sentence for each one. How the point's going to be developed. Okay, so what are the elements within that first point? How each point relates to your question, which is key. If you don't do point 3 on here, okay, then you're not going to get any marks, because at the end of each point you have to make sure that you can link back what you're saying to your question. So things like the words that are up there on the wall, this is because, whereas, this links to my question because, etc., etc. Okay, that's where the marks are. Then basically tell me the text that you're going to use and the order in which the points come. So let me show you the Word document, okay? It's really straightforward. It's really simple. This is what the plan should look like if you use this. You don't have to use this document if you don't want to. It's your choice. When it loads up. So here's mine, okay? So my title would go at the top, whatever it is. The title of the statement about my study would go here. So one sentence telling me what your study is going to be about. Okay, so an investigation into the role of how women are shown or are represented in the beauty industry, for example, or an investigation into how sportsmen are the new celebrities or something like that. Okay. Then this part here, this is where you start to talk about your points. So point 1, what is my point that I'm making? And the details of the point. So the key things that you need to get across about that point. Remember this bit, including references to texts and page numbers. The typo there. References to tests if you want it to be tests, if you've run some tests. But references to your text and your page numbers. And this bit's going to be quite in detail. So you might have 7, 8, 9, 10 point details for each point. You can just copy this and paste it underneath. Yeah. Then, a sentence showing how the point's relevant to the title. And then you're going to repeat this section here for each point that you've got. Yes, Will.
Shouldn't we have already done this?
Some people have done it, some people haven't. Probably what you've done now, you've done loads more research, isn't really relevant. So you might need to go back and revisit it. Hannah's had to go back and revisit hers, and she's adapted a lot of it based on the new research that she's done.
I thought over the summer that we were supposed to.
People were supposed to do this over the summer, but only about 3 people handed it
I
in.
didn't submit it, but I've got about 5 or 6 of those pages.
That's perfect. That's good. So you can go back to it based on the research that you've been doing now and the extra stuff that you found out, and you can.
Is there a limit on
What?
Is there a limit on how many we can do?
No.
Because if we have loads of points.
Yeah, but then you need to make. Remember the word limit. Stefan just asked, is there a limit on the number of points that you can do? There's a word limit in the essay. So obviously if you've got 50 or 60 points or 20 points, then that's going to go way over the word limit. So what you need to do is maybe look at how do I combine these points? Where are the key things? Is there anything that's coming out of 2 or 3 different points which could be made into one? Do you see what I mean? And look at condensing what you've got. Okay, so, and that's what you'll find when you come to write. When you come to write, you're probably only going to be able to write about, I'd say, between 5 to 8 points max without going over the word limit. Because that is only, if you work that out, that's only roughly, if you did 10 points, that's only 200 words per point. Yeah? That's not a lot of words. 200.
What's the word limit?
2,000. or 2,200 maximum. You can go 10% over.
Roughly how many pages do you think that would be?
About 4, maybe 4. It's about 4 pages.
Not that much.
It's not that much, no. But it is, to get a good grade, it has to be... To get a really good grade in this, every single thing that you write on the paper has to link to your question. Okay, if it doesn't link to your question, it's wasted words, you know, and there is no point for it being on the page. So, you know, like last year, there was some people that handed in essays that are like 3,500 words, and half of the stuff they put on there, it's just pointless. I just went through and deleted everything.
Yeah, but wouldn't you rather someone did that than not do enough and then you shut
It's impossible not to do enough. Trust me. Yeah. There's no way you'll make this essay. There's no way with the amount of research you've done that your essay will be less than 2,000 words. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
That's
can't.
what I'm saying. Wouldn't you rather it was a bit over and you could delete stuff and make it better than someone not done it?
No, not really. No, because it wastes my time having to read it. Yeah, if you think about it, I've got you guys. I've got another class. I've got maybe 30 people's essays to write to read, which are maybe 2,000 words long. Okay, so work out how many words that is I need to read. What? 2,000 times 30. What was that, Jordan? 60,000 words I have to read. If your essays are 2,000, that's like the size of a decently sized book. Big book, yeah. Okay, so that's what you're going to do. That's what your plan is. That's what you need to do for this. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to export this video and I'm going to stick it on the planning task. Okay? And I'm going to say that you know where to get it from. So I'm going to embed it. I'm going to put a YouTube link on there, etc., etc. And we'll do that right now. You're going to spend the rest of the lesson doing your research. More research, starting to fill out these plans, looking at what you've got already. Okay? Good. You can open the curtains as well if you want.
Huh? That was him.
No, it wasn't. Yep. That's what he was doing.